Hi, everyone. Donna here with Bookkeeping Made Simple. This is the Bookkeeping Made Simple podcast, and this is where I talk about everything to do with business, from your mindset, nutrition, and wellness, which are critical for business owners who really want to grow your business. You have to be in pretty good, at least mental condition to do that. It takes a lot of work. It is not for everybody. To business accounting, payroll, tax, and law, which is kind of where I live. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm not even a CPA. I have a master's degree in accounting. I had 20 years of experience in the accounting field, but I have never bothered to do the internship that's required for the CPA license because most CPAs are not as smart as I am. And that sounds horrible and arrogant, and it's still true. I spend my whole life correcting CPA mistakes. So it's not something I've been really interested in doing. I don't do audits, so it's not something that I have to have. Accounting is kind of interesting because you don't have to be a member of the AICPA or be a licensed CPA in order to practice it. But if you are a CPA, you do get to practice, you do get some extra benefits from that because it's not required. Anyhow, moving on. I wanted to especially do this today. This is, I'm going back to doing these every day, partly because it is, the height of tax season and trying to plan these and do kind of the in-depth SEO and everything that needs to go into making these videos just isn't working for me right now. So I thought it was just easier to do these on the fly and talk about things that I have noticed. And today it's in the news. Today is March the 5th. It is Revenge of the 5th. If you're a Star Wars nerd like me, yesterday was March 4th. And it's also Super Tuesday. So there's a lot going on in the political world that I am absolutely not going to cover because nobody needs to know what my politics are. And in my, in my perspective, if you know anything more than the basics of what my politics are, I'm probably not doing my job as a business consultant because they are, it's not necessary to know that for me to be able to give good advice in business. So with that, Friday night, we had a change made that is going to affect small business owners. Now, I'm going to preface this again. I am not a lawyer, and even if I was a lawyer, I am not your lawyer. I'm hoping to get one on the show before too long, but this is just not something that I felt like could wait. The Corporate Transparency Act, which I have done videos on, I have sent newsletters out about. It went into effect on January 1st, and I really kind of suspected this was going to happen, which is why I haven't been pushing it too hard yet. The federal district court in Alabama has ruled that it is unconstitutional. And I thought that was really interesting. I believed it was unconstitutional as well, but I believed it was unconstitutional on different grounds than they actually ruled on. I felt it was unconstitutional under the implied right to privacy in the Constitution. I know the Constitution doesn't mention a right to privacy anywhere, but certainly under the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments, I didn't feel like this isn't a good law. And I've been very open about that. Yes, I'm in favor of catching money laundering, but honestly, most money laundering happens through hedge funds. It doesn't happen through very small businesses like mine and like yours. Most 99.9% of small businesses in America exist to help the business owners earn a living. That's all they do. They are not, most of us aren't in business to launder money. Most of us don't have connections to anyone that would want to launder money. I firmly believe, and maybe I'm being naive about it, but I firmly believe that most people are nice, kind, generous, loving, warm, pleasant to be around. It's just that the ones that aren't get all the attention. So the purpose of this law, especially the beneficial ownership information, that was the portion that was particularly struck down, if I'm reading this correctly. I was completely baffled because honestly, the Department of the Treasury also runs the Internal Revenue Service, and all of the information that they need is available on tax returns. But they didn't Government's weird because no agency wants to share their information with any other agency. So what happened was the national, let me put my glasses on so I can see. The district court on Friday, the district court in Alabama, a suit was brought, the National Small Businesses United versus Yellen, and the National Small Business Association, which has over 65,000 members, brought suit against the government and said that the law is constitutional. Sorry, unconstitutional. The district court agreed with them. And the district court said that while the legislation may have sensible and praiseworthy ends, in other words, yeah, we do want to avoid money laundering. We do want to know who's laundering money. We do want to know who's committing financial crime. Of course, we want to know those things, right? But this is the wrong way to go about it. And that's what I've always said. The court stated the government's arguments that Congress has the power to regulate millions of entities and their stakeholders the moment they form a formal corporate status from a state are not supported by precedent. The act exceeds the Constitution's limits on the legislative branch and lacks a sufficient nexus to any enumerated power to be a necessary or proper means of achieving Congress's policy goals. So under the act, which I've talked to you about before, every single business that was registered with the state. So if you are just a sole proprietor, if you're in the latest MLM and you didn't register your business with your state, then you aren't affected. But if you did, and that is most small businesses, because most small businesses are wisely told to form an LLC and keep their business and personal separate, so that in the event of a lawsuit, that there is enough. In the event of a lawsuit, if someone sues your business, you don't want them taking your personal home. If someone sues your business, you don't want them to be able to take all of your personal assets. You want them to only be restricted to business assets. And that is the whole point of forming an LLC. That's also why I harp so much on commingling funds, which should probably be tomorrow's video. You have got to do these things right. And basically what the court said was, why didn't Congress just tell the IRS to share the information? Okay, the answer is no government agency ever wants to share their information. That's why we have so many intelligence services, and that's also why they didn't prevent 9/11, assuming it was not an inside job. I have friends that say it is. I don't know. All of these intelligence services don't talk to each other, so we have gaping holes in our intelligence. And actually, U.S. intelligence is very low. It is very, very poorly done, according to what I've read. I'm far from an expert, but it is really, really not the best intelligence service out there. So I am very heartened that also the court also said that okay, let me back up. Under the Corporate Transparency Act, which was supposed to be an anti-money laundering initiative. And again, most small businesses do not launder money. Most small businesses, and I've worked with a lot of them, are run by honest, hardworking people that just want to make a living. So this seems like it was punishing everybody for the acts of a few very vocal people. I'm looking at you, Samuel Bankman-Fried. He was most definitely laundering money, among other financial crimes. So reporting companies, which were defined as corporations, LLCs, and similar, which have to register with their Department of State or Department of Corporations, whatever it's called in your state, must disclose the identity and information about the beneficial owners of the entities. For new entities incorporated after January 1st of this year, 2024, reporting companies must also disclose the identity of applicants, defined as any individual who files an application to form a corporation, LLC, or other entity. Reporting companies are required to provide information about both the companies and their beneficial owners and applicants, including full name, legal address, state or tribal jurisdiction of formation, IRS taxpayer identification number, birth date, etc. Willful violations are punishable by a fine of $591 a day up to $10,000 and 2 years in prison, with similarly serious penalties for unauthorized disclosure. Like that's going to work. The government has more leaks than my sieve. It is ridiculous. And the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, estimates that beneficial ownership information regulations apply to 32.6 million entities, with 5 million added each year through 2034. Now, the arguments were, the government said that Congress has the power to enact the CTA under its plenary power to conduct foreign affairs via its Commerce Clause authority. Sorry, I can't seem to talk this morning. And as a necessary and proper exercise of its taxing power. And the court rejected all three of those arguments. On the foreign affairs argument, the court found that bond, and if you, I'll include the link to the Journal of Accountancy article that I'm reading so that you can see this. It yields an unavoidable conclusion that the CTA is not authorized by Congress's foreign affairs powers because those powers do not extend to purely internal affairs, especially in an arena traditionally left to the states. So what that means is, no, these are all of these businesses. Most businesses are not international businesses. Again, mine is emphatically domestic. I don't do business. I mean, in order to do business with me, you have to be based in the United States, have a US tax ID number, and have a US bank account. I cannot speak to the tax laws or codes of any other country, even the countries that I've lived in. I have lived in Germany. I had known nothing about their taxes, partly because when I lived there, I was a dependent of the military, and it didn't apply to us. We had to follow US law. I'm also not interested in learning tax law for 160 countries. It's too much. So I am very focused on the United States. Maybe at some point in the future, I will extend to the Eurozone, but that is not today. So absolutely, my business doesn't have anything to do with foreign affairs. I very seldom work with foreigners. My foreign clients are US persons. They're here legally. They're either citizens or legal residents. They at least have an ITIN. And they're subject to the laws of the United States. I don't do Mexican taxes. I don't do Canadian taxes. I won't take clients in any other country but the United States. So certainly the foreign affairs argument is not going to apply to most businesses. Most businesses just aren't international. Most businesses are mom and pop shops that set up shop on Main Street, and they only do business in their neighborhoods. Now, according to the Commerce Clause, the court found that the law does not fall within the scope of Congress's powers under the Commerce Clause. The opinion states the plain text of the CTA does not regulate the channels and instrumentalities of commerce, let alone commercial or economic activity. The court also held that Congress does not have authority to regulate non-commercial intrastate activity when certain entities which have availed themselves of states' incorporation laws use the channels of commerce, and their anonymous operations substantially affect interstate and foreign commerce. So what does that mean? Well, that means that Congress can't use the Commerce Clause as an excuse to put this in, basically because businesses are formed and regulated by the states in which the business resides or operates. So, and yes, we have lots of multinational businesses. We have lots of huge businesses that operate intrastate or between states. Excuse me, intrastate is just within the state. Most of my business, incidentally, comes from Utah. So obviously that's the state I'm the most familiar with. That's the one I live in. But even when I'm doing business with people across state lines, my business was formed in Utah and it's subject to Utah laws. It doesn't mean that Congress can suddenly come in and regulate it. That's what this court opinion is saying. Most businesses just operate inside of their state. A few do not. So truckers obviously don't. If you have locations in other states, it obviously doesn't apply to you. Utah's a fairly small state. It looks big on the map, but it's fairly small. So it's, even if I went over to Nevada or up to Wyoming, over to Colorado, you know, there's a lot of states close by. Some states like Texas, you could be I'm in the middle of Utah. Texas, you could be in the middle of Texas and drive for days and still be in Texas. But Utah, it's 6 hours from top to bottom and 3 hours driving east to west. So basically what the court is saying is Congress has no business regulating every single business in the United States. These were formed under the laws of the states in which they were formed, and they are regulated by those laws, and Congress doesn't have authority to regulate them under the Commerce Clause. It also held, let me see if I can translate this last sentence. Congress does not have the authority to regulate non-commercial intrastate activity when certain entities which have availed themselves of states and corporation laws use the channels of commerce and their anonymous operations substantially affect interstate and foreign commerce. And so basically what he's saying is Congress just doesn't have this power. And then the court found that Congress could have written a law that would have survived a constitutional challenge. They pointed to 2 cases cited by the government, American Power and Light Co. versus the SEC and California Bankers Association versus Schultz, that show how easily Congress could have written the CTA to pass muster. They didn't. They chose not to. Nothing in either case would bar Congress from imposing the disclosure requirements on state entities as soon as they're engaged in commerce, or prohibiting the use of interstate commerce to launder money, evade taxes, hide illicit wealth, and defraud employees and customers. Again, most people don't do that, and that was one of the reasons why I was against this law. It feels like it's punishing the whole for the actions of a few. And by the way, it's been estimated that the cost to comply with the, this is one of the reasons they brought suit, the cost to comply with the Corporate Transparency Act comes up to about $8,000 a year. Most small businesses don't have that money sitting around. They are making just enough to get by. They are struggling to meet payroll. And so $8,000 a year is a huge, huge burden for them. They also said, FinCEN's customer due diligence rule from 2016 provides nearly identical information, but that does so in a constitutionally accepted manner. And then on the question of the taxing power, which was the third argument the government used, the court said the Act's civil penalties are not a tax for various reasons, including that they have no income thresholds and the amounts are fixed, not variable, so they absolutely are fines. Because it found that the Act is constitutional on the grounds that Congress lacked authority to enact it, the court declined to consider whether it violates the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments, as the plaintiffs have argued. So, AICPA, which is the CPA professional association, I can't even think of what the AI stands for now. I'm tired. It's early. American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. That's what it is. They have said, yes, go ahead and keep filing your reports. My take on this, and I've seen this from other, from, I've scoured the internet looking to see what we should be doing on this. The law firms are saying, wait and see. Give it, especially if you have formed your business prior to 2024, you don't have to file until the end of the year. And AICPA is saying, yes, go ahead and continue filing. Some of the law firms are saying, wait and see. So I just wanted to give you the information. If you have any questions about it, comments, concerns, if you would like to go ahead and get filed, if you need more information, I have decided not to do those filings myself for liability reasons. My E&O insurance does not cover legal filings, which this is, but I do have a company that I work with that will do them for you for a reasonable fee. So if you still want to go ahead and file, or if you have questions, please reach out to me and let me know. My contact information is all in the description of the podcast or video. I'm on Spotify and YouTube and some other places that I don't remember. I don't have them written down. I really need to get much better about that. It's one of the things I like about Andy Frisella is he knows, he remembers everything he talked about. I do not. I do the videos and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't remember. But I did want to make sure that the information was available to you. Because if you're watching this, you're probably one of my clients or one of my prospective clients. And or you're interested in becoming a prospective client. So if you're watching this, you're probably a business owner, you're one of my clients, or you're looking into going into business, and this is something you need to know. So I don't have any advice for you on what to do next. I will say that some of the law firms that I researched, that I looked at their websites, trying to decide what to do, some of them said, wait and see. AICPA says, just go ahead and file it. So I'm going to say, if you're not sure, reach out to me. I will put you in touch with someone that knows a lot more about it than I do, who will be able to help you if you do want to file. And that's kind of it for today. Lots going on. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the video. You guys have a great day. Happy Tuesday, and I will talk to you again soon.